My name is Hua Lu. I go by the name Anakin. I'm a Tekken player, always been a Tekken player, and my long journey with Tekken has brought me to Stream Me, where I'm now Stream Ambassador and player for them in tournaments. So EVO Tekken Day 1 is finally here. It's actually the biggest Tekken tournament ever in the world, I think, with over 1,200 players. So 99% of that is going to go down today. We're going to play from that to the top 8. So right before my match, I'm just sitting here doing a little preparation. I feel it's kind of silly to expect to win EVO just because there are so many good players and so much can happen. You're going to catch that and slice that humble pie real fast if you just have too high expectations. For me, my goal is to make top 8. I've prepared the best that I could. Going into this event, looking at all the players that I possibly could run into just so I could have the matchups prepared. With so many players at these tournaments, you want to just make sure that you prepare for the right ones, because you don't want to do too much, because you have to worry about time management. I've looked at all the players. I feel pretty confident going in, so we'll see what happens. This year, with there being so many players, a lot of those players, especially the real good ones, consist of players from Korea and Japan, more so than ever before. There's actually well over 10 Japanese players, and I think almost just as many Korean players. And for us in the United States, with all the disadvantages that we've had, one, never being as good as them in the first place, and two, with the game just coming out, them playing a lot longer, there's just so many things where they're going on that I feel that you can't really put too much money on the American side, but we never failed to disappoint in terms of pulling off upsets in tournaments. So
the Jack players love that move at the wall.
Well, now that since Tekken 7 is out, the biggest difference I feel with the player base has to do with the fact that in Tekken Tag 2, it wasn't like, say, for example, we had too many extra players come in. It was more about those players from Tag 2 where during that game they were really new, so they were getting a lot of experience. And now with Tekken 7 finally out, they've gotten those few years of experience. And now our young players, namely, Speedkick's P. Ling, and the same goes for the players from the other countries too. Like, it takes time to blossom in Tekken. You don't just come in and your first Tekken, you're the greatest in the world. But with Tekken Tag 2, we had a lot of young bloods come in, and we knew right off the bat that they were going to have a lot of potential. And Tekken 7 definitely is going to be a lot of these guys' time to shine. So that's the biggest difference. Now it's kind of doubled in terms of high level competition, because the guys that just got into the game last Tekken are now actually experienced and strong killers. So I actually just finished pools, round 1 of the tournament. I made it on winners. Since there's so many players, almost 1,400 I hear, like, EVO does a really good job of separating all of the really well-known and favorited players during the pools so that they won't have to run into each other until later on. So with that being said, my pool didn't really have any too notable names. There were strong players, and I had to work really hard in order to get out of pools, but I did so. I think I was pretty comfortable throughout the whole part of that day, and we'll see what happens next. Round 2 pools in the books, still in winners. Actually, competition is really heating up right now. Like, this is when the international players and the really good American players are starting to pair up. Fortunately for me, I was able to so far dodge like the really strong international players. But now that I'm in the semifinal phase, it's pretty much inevitable that I'm going to have to run into some of the best players in the world. Trying to prepare myself mentally, just go in and relax, have a good time, and hopefully do it one more time. I get in the top 8.
Wow. Anakin pulling through there, narrowly escaping with his life. That was close, but very impressive from Cuddlecore.
That was ridiculous.
The thing about Tekken is that since it takes so long to get good at, you can kind of see the progress of the up-and-coming players or players who, everybody feels would probably be really good within a few years. So with Tekken, the players that I would be most that would be most dangerous for me to face in a tournament, the names really haven't changed throughout the years. It's always the same guys. We see the same players doing well in tournaments. So those are the guys that I'm looking out for, those international players, those strong American players that have that dangerous play style. You see those names all the time, So that's good and bad. There are a lot of players that I could lose to, but then again, since it's the same players, I can kind of rack up the experience against them and do better and better each time if I have played them prior. The really scary ones are the players that are good, but you've never played before, and you have no idea how they're going to play. And they know how you're going to play because they're in your country invading. I'm talking about the Asians. So they're in your country invading. Of course, they're going to do their research and know how you play, but same thing can't be said for you. Random good player, just go in there and have fun. I guess wing it.
That's it! That's it! Anakin makes top 8!
So, good news, I made top 8 winners. I'm actually really happy right now. I still can't believe that I made it. I mean, I think last I spoke on the tournament, I was just talking about how I was having to run into international players. I was really worried, but fortunately, with EVO being such a massive tournament, lots of upsets, lots of different things happening, my first opponent that I expected to face in the semifinals did not make it there. Actually, one of our stronger American players, Cuddlecore, defeated a player from Japan, so I had to face her first. In order to move on to the top 8 plates, to get in match. But she gave me a really tough fight. I fought her in tournaments a few times before, so I thought I was comfortable going into the match, but I had never actually fought her new character, Alyssa. And I had to pick up on some of the tendencies, get lucky a few times just to make it out, but yeah, I'm glad I got there. And afterwards, I had to play arguably the toughest opponent of the day, which was one of the top Korean players, Dimeback, Asuka player. As far as the matchup goes, I was pretty comfortable. He uses Asuka, but his playstyle is just so different from traditional Asuka players who are known to be defensive. And he's known for going in your face, creating his own offense, and not caring what you do. And he mixes that in with, fundamental Asuka play as well. So it's really hard to catch his timing. With that being said, also, since Asuka's meant to be like a defensive character, and he plays her so aggressively, people aren't used to that, and it works in his favor. But at the same time, since she's not built tool-wise to be so aggressive, I feel like Dimeback had to work extra hard just to get his offense flowing and just to get into his opponent's heads and break their defense. I think that kind of gave me an edge over the matchup, and he had to work a little too hard, and at the same time, he had to defend what I was doing, so I kind of just put the pressure on, and I was able to beat him 2-1. Now that we're in top 8, I'm gonna have to fight against probably the best second player of all time, pound for pound, knee. I played him once before, a long time ago in 2010, and he beat me in a really close set. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can get some revenge this time around. Last year, EVO was actually kind of a bloodbath. For me personally, it was probably the worst that I've ever performed in a tournament, period, placing-wise. But when you look at, why everything fell into place, you can kind of understand it. I think at the time, the game, Tekken 7 FR, had just came out for 1 week. And although the Japanese players, Korean players, have been playing Tekken 7 Vanilla for about a year and a half, there were a lot of changes in FR where they didn't have enough, they probably wouldn't have had enough time to adjust and be comfortable in a lot of situations that they are now. now. So last year I felt like there was a better chance maybe for upsets to happen just because, and they did. You know, we had the Geese Master, speed kicks in top 8. A lot of people didn't see that coming. So for me, last year, going back to that, you know, I lost to JDCR winners. It's, you know, he's one of the best players in the world, if not the best currently right now, so you can't really fault me too much for that, I guess. But after that, immediately, I ran into a player where I felt like if I had more time with the game, I probably would have lost. He used like a new character, so it was kind of overwhelming, and I kind of got stomped out, lost really early. You didn't hear about me too much at EVO last year. Now this year, it's a little bit different. After the game came out, we had, you know, the liberty of being able to play the game actually in the Tekken Tour throughout the year. The end of the year last year, I got to go to Japan. The game is now finally out, so comfort level, I'm really comfortable against just basic character matchups and knowing what goes on. So that with that, I can actually focus on my opponents, my players, the players' tendencies and habits, rather than just thinking about what their character can do before I get beneath all that and actually play player versus player. So, as you guys may know, this year I switched sponsors from Circa Esports to StreamMe. Actually, StreamMe works with Circa Esports, you know, as partners, so it was kind of like me just kind of drifting off slightly, not, you know, leaving too far along. I still keep a good relationship with the team. I'm really grateful for the opportunities that Circa Esports gave me, you know, at a time where Tekken players weren't getting picked up, and before the Tekken boom, Circa Esports saw the potential and they actually took a shot on a Tekken player. I think that helped pave the way maybe for a lot of like other smaller teams, organizations, or whatever, to just think about getting into Tekken. And for, you know, us Tekken players who never really had opportunities like that, it was a really big deal. So for that, I'm forever grateful. But now with the new year StreamMe, I'm here, you know, representing a new team. What can I say? I guess, you know, it's time to just, sometimes it's just, you know, you feel like it's time to move on. And that was just kind of the feeling that I had with Circa Esports, and just trying to see what move I would make to best fit, you know, best suited for my future. And it was a hard decision, definitely. And, you know, I try to stay loyal, so like that was the one thing that was just like, man, I really don't want to leave the team, but I felt like it was just the best move for me. The Twitch Arena was a really good experience for me. I know that myself and a lot of the other players there had never been given the opportunity to play on such a nice stage outside, you know, to add on to that. So, you know, right off the bat, I enjoyed it. They treated us really nicely. They gave the players a lot of opportunity to shine and get, you know, camera time on the stream. It was awesome. They invited us to E3. I'd never been to E3, so all in all, you know, outside of just a Tekken tournament, it was just a great time being out there in LA. And fortunately for me, I was able to just play good enough Tekken to win. You know, it was a really stacked tournament, 8 invited players, and I felt like I played really good. I was really comfortable with those players there, and I was able to avoid the players that probably would have given me a really hard time, other than, you know, one player or so. I had some close calls, but, you know, that's just Tekken, the nature of the game. So without a doubt, CEO this year was definitely the story of just Echo Fox's JDCR and Echo Fox's Saint versus, of course, the United States. I think the game on console had been out for 2 weeks and gave us plenty of time to make, you know, huge advancements in our game. The thing about Tekken not being out on consoles is that it's hard for players to get really a lot better really fast, because they're unable to go to practice mode and test out the things that they specifically want to test and get better doing so. They've just been able to spend time playing, you know, just matches and matches at these tournaments without the usage of practice mode. So with 2 weeks of practice mode, I felt like it was enough for a lot of the players to make huge strides in their game. I felt that way, and so did a lot of players. So I know that some of the guys that made top 8, they were really confident against those two. But I know that, you know, they're sponsored now, so they're taking it way more serious than ever before. So that means that every tournament they go to, they're getting a lot better as well, and that's stacked up on top of how good they already were. So you gotta keep it real. They were definitely the favorites to win.
Oh, there was a punish opportunity there.
Now back one, this is trouble for him right now. Not able to confirm anything. He's gonna convert, and that is gonna be the set. 2-0 for Saint over Anakin.
Going into that matchup against Saint in top 8, I was confident. I had a feeling he wasn't going to use Jack against me for the Jack mirror because it just makes both players so uncomfortable. Many weird things happen. The Shaheen pick really caught me off guard. I was expecting some other characters. And the way that match played out, almost all the rounds were close. Although I got beaten 6 straight rounds 2-0, all the rounds were close, and I felt like in a lot of those games I was up against him and it was just I was unable to kill. And that probably just stems from me not having quite enough experience with the game yet and learning how to finish off a player who not only is world class but also knows a lot about your character, since he does use Jack 6. So looking over, I don't really regret playing the way I play too much. It was more of a learning experience since we don't get to play these guys too much. I'm expecting if I do see him again to perform better, of course. So that's all you can take from a loss. With JDCR, he's just a monster. He does really good too against Jack 7. So I'm definitely gonna have to rework my game, play a little bit different, and do things that I normally wouldn't do just because I know that they kind of know my general game and what I like to go for. So I'll have to do things that I don't normally like to go for. And with this tournament, I have some of those.
And JDCR eliminating Anakin. Anakin taking 3rd place here in the tournament. Our last hope here for North America.
It's top 8 day, and I think Tekken's scheduled to start in about a couple hours here, so just getting ready to head down to the ballroom. Mentally, I feel okay. On Friday when I made top 8, I knew that I didn't really have the greatest expectations going into the event. With EVO being so big, you really can't accurately ever guess what's going to happen. But once I did make top 8, I feel like my mission was accomplished. I represented really well, and now the next task is just to go out there on stage and put on a good show for the fans and maybe walk away with that trophy. So I feel pretty good. Usually I'm known for getting really no sleep before big tournaments, top 8s and everything, but I really tried to break that habit last night, and I got a couple of hours of secret sleep, so we're going to see if those extra hours count towards the tournament today. Fighting Knee, like I said, I have a little game plan, but he's just a world-class player, such a world-class player. It's not like he's not going to be able to catch on real quick, so I have to be prepared for that as well. And if I do manage to make it past Knee, I'll be in winners finals where I'm guaranteed top 3. Opponent could be the JDCR, Jun Ding, who knows. Just hoping not to go into losers, but once I get out there, I'll put on a good fight. I think the crowd's going to help me a lot.
Sometimes when you're here, I can't feel no doubt, 'cause you keep me where the stars are bound. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, 'cause you're here with me now. It doesn't really matter, 'cause I feel so free now. It doesn't really matter.
So top 8 just pretty much wrapped up about a couple hours ago, and I finally got time to get settled. I'm pretty sure you can tell by some of my voice, I've given up on trying to, be awake and all that. I'm really tired now. So, but looking back, it was a great experience. The Mandalay Bay was playing, in the arena, of course, was everything I thought, was expecting and more. The crowd was great. The environment was great. It was, something that needs to be happening every year for Tekken. But as far as how I did, my first opponent, I think I mentioned it was Nee. In my opinion, the best Tekken player of all time, if you want to go like all Tekken history. It was really close, actually. It took me a while to get focused and like start to get in the groove, because that's kind of how I've been lately. It takes me a while to download my opponents, and for a player of Nee's caliber, you can't let that happen to you when you're playing against him. You have to have it from the start. So the slow start kind of put me at an early disadvantage, but I felt like I put up a good fight. It's just nothing you can do about it in the end. He's a strong player, so I was already fighting an uphill battle. Either way, got some rounds, got some hype going. I was pretty happy. It's always an honor to play, a player that I'm a huge fan of. So just good games to me as always. I think the last time I played him was almost 10 years ago, almost. Right after that losers bracket match, I played against Taisei, which a lot of players respect him and consider him as one of the best players in Japan. He has a very aggressive style, like his whole playing area. I think all the players in that area, they're aggressive. So I knew what he was going to bring to the table as far as Steve was concerned, because it was a matchup that I've played a lot throughout the years, throughout different Tekkens. I was really happy that my opponent wasn't like a player that used Kazumi, for example. Steve was something that I was much more comfortable with. Even still, Taisei, just a phenomenal player. He's really young, so he has really fast movement, really fast just motions in general. And again, it took me a while to download him. He beat me 3 straight the first game, but second game I was starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm, but still, it was a good second game and he edged it out. So there goes my EVO. Looking back at the whole event, I guess, from start to finish, it was a great event. EVO this year, much better than last year, I feel. But the Tekken tournament, I think I met my goals and exceeded them. Once I made top 8, it was pretty much like, let's put on a good show, go down, swinging, and that's what I felt like I did. Sometimes in the movie, the main character, they may not win the fight, but they definitely will have proven a point, and that's kind of like the feeling that I have right now. The game is still really new in the United States. We have a lot of catching up to do, and I think that's something that we're really good at, and I'm looking forward to the next time that we all fight at a tournament of this magnitude.